On this computer. All right, good afternoon and good evening. This is the Extinction Rebellion Digital Nomads group, and this is our first call, which we've sort of themed Pushing Our Perspective. And the aim or idea around this was to challenge our preconceptions or look or hear from people, individuals or from countries who are on the front line of some of that climate change stuff that we read about in the headlines. And it's, I think one of the motivations behind it is we attach more meaning when we have a story behind it and when we have that personal connection, so that it's no longer these like statistics or big numbers that we can kind of turn away from and not try and digest. Ajeng is our first very wonderful willing volunteer who I work with. So I thought I might hand over to you, Ajeng. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about you, where you are, what you get paid to do, what you love to do, etc.?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Actually, my name is Elsia Starina Yuwanti, but I prefer to be called as Ajeng. That's my nickname. So currently, I reside in Indonesia, and I'm working in Rekam Nusantara Foundation. It's based in Bogor, West Java, Indonesia. We also been working with Sophia for If Not Us Then Who, the campaign for indigenous peoples and climate change as well. And currently, yes, with Rekam, we're covering campaign advocacy and stories through film documentary about indigenous peoples, about lands, environment, forest, species, marine and coastal, also about the climate change. So Sophia and I, we've been discussing outside the work time about what we concern. And my background, I will say I'm not an environmentalist, but since I've been involved in my current job, how to say, it forced me to learn and watch, see, hear about what happened in Indonesia. Something that I've been no idea for a long time. We've been working with If Not Us Then Who since 2017, and what I love to do, wow, I like to have my own me time and learning something new for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much about me. So, awesome. But I prefer to be asked instead.
Okay, so what we're going to do, thank you for that. We're going to probably spend like have Ajeng and I have a 20-minute conversation, and then we'll open it up and feel free to dive in, and we can go to Ajeng, we can talk amongst, we'll make it more informal after that. Ajeng normally works really, really hard, so I'm grateful that she's given us an hour of her time in the evening. I really want to talk about the wildfires in Indonesia, and we've heard a lot about them, and they're in the Amazon and they're in Australia, even more this year, but again in Indonesia and that part of the country, part of the world. What is the practice of the regular burning? Do you know? And how is it being exacerbated by climate change? And what are the effects on the ground? Either you could talk about that kind of professionally with some of the documentaries you're making with Infus, but also like kind of culturally and what's being shared in the media in Indonesia.
Okay. Well, when the forest fire, the wildfires happened last year, actually it's something that I will have to say it's regular things happen, and usually it's in the dry season. So that happened when during the dry season, nearly the rainy season, they open the land and then they have this petland canal. Normally petland, it has to be wet all the time, like 24 hours. There's no way it if when it's dry and when it's burned, it will be like a coal. Like I hope I say it right. It's like
peatland. Yeah, peatland.
The peatland, yeah. So during this I will say this common season for the land clearing, they will drainage the peatland until it's really dry, and they will burn the area as an exchange for the palm oil thing, the plant, the palm oil plant. What happened with last year is almost the same like what happened in 2015, where Malaysia, Singapore get affected by it. I also feel the effect for that when I flew to Malaysia on October, and the haze is still like really thick. But thanks to the rainy season, the rain, not the rainy season yet. Thanks to the rain, it's better, but you can still see the fog anyway. But I will say Kalimantan is the highest contributor for the haze, and the total area is only the peatland, yeah, for the whole Indonesia, which mostly it's in Kalimantan, Sumatra, and a small part in Java. It's about 227,000 hectare peatland that being burned, and the rest is the Sophia, how to say the other way of peatland, the mineral land, or the not the peatland area. There are peatlands and the not the peatland one. Sorry for my translation. But what happened in Kalimantan, I have to say we get used to it with what happened. Since 2017, we are working closely with the his name is Doni Monardo. Currently, he's the head of Indonesia National Board for Disaster Management Indonesia. And we got the chance to film the situation in Jambi and South Sumatra using the waterbombing helicopter. That's where we try to cover the whole area in Jambi, only in Jambi, because Jambi gives the highest contributor for the haze. And the situation is pretty, terrifying, because when our crew arrived in Jambi, it's only almost yellow-orange ambience. You cannot see the sun, you cannot see the daylight at all. And even the fog is really thick. When they use this special mask, it's still, absorb. You still can smell the haze really bad. And people evacuated from Jambi and Kalimantan, mostly from Sumatra. People need to evacuate from Sumatra to Java. So actually the Indonesia National Board for Disaster Management, we call it BNPB, or Badan Nasional Penanggulangan Bencana. BNPB also released the number, the cost because of the forest fire itself, and it's pretty terrifying as well. We also get the data for that. We get the release, but the ugly truth, why Jambi, why Central Kalimantan being the highest contributors, the palm oil company have the highest area in there, and 2015 actually our president, Mr. Jokowi, stated that we need restoration for the peatlands. And when the forest fire happened last year, when we checked about the area where supposed to be restored, it's none. So, yeah.
So can I ask then, because there's an indigenous practice of controlled fires. So
Yes.
how is that distinct from some of the wildfires in the mass palm oil, the huge plantations that we see?
Well, actually, it's a tough one. Unfortunately, they also affected by the haze, and how to say, the fire also affect their area, so they also get evacuated actually.
Indigenous peoples.
So they don't have the indigenous peoples, or they have to move. They're being nomad to other area. Well, they have the mitigation. I will say it's a mitigation. Try to avoid the forest before it's happened. Yes, they have, but the burning, the fire burning is too massive. So they have no choice, but they have to leave. And even the animals like the orangutan got evacuated. The how to say Owa Jawa? I forget how to say that in English. Also get evacuated. So yeah.
And so for people living like in Jakarta or some of the other big cities, not near palm oil or not near the wildfires, what was like the press coverage and the tone and what was the messaging? I know you're digital marketing, so the messaging, you would have picked that up. What was that kind of feeling like either in 2015 or last year?
Okay. This is the funny situation during the forest fire actually. Our forest ministry. Sorry, I have to jump to other story. Yeah. Our forest ministry. They got pissed to some of the NGOs who's covering story about the forest fire. When they declare about the numbers of the area burning, the numbers of the victims, the numbers of the houses who also affected by it, or the number of people who cannot go to school or even lose their job because of the forest fire and the haze. The media, however, they do cover the area. But they only cover about the area where the palm oil is, how to say, where the palm oil company area. But actually, what happened last year, it's not only in the palm oil area. It's also affect, if you stretch the line, it's happened in Sumatra, Kalimantan, Java, and some of it in Papua. So, Sophia, you know the story in Papua itself, yeah. They also have a massive land clearing and the forest fire as well, but not as popular as in Sumatra and in Kalimantan. So the media cover about the forest fire mostly in Kalimantan and Sumatra. So yeah, I have to say it's a bit imbalanced about what happened actually. I can count the articles that release about the financial loss affected by the haze. Mostly only about the haze or mostly about the palm oil. So it's like imbalanced cover story, I will say. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's probably more questions that we could ask about palm oil, but I'm just keeping an eye on time. I'm going to move. You had flooding in Jakarta. And how far away do you live from Jakarta?
Wait, I forget the kilometers, but thanks God it's quite far away because Bogor it's more to the upstream area, and Jakarta Bogor 2 hours driving, 2 hours away driving.
So if do you want to talk about the flooding, and I'm just going to show a picture of Google Maps during that flood. Maybe you can tell either a story about your friend or tell us what you want about the flooding while I share this image.
Well, the flooding itself, it's happened in the early 2020. actually really like 31st of December, the rain, how to say, the I hope I said correctly. The volume of the rain is like increasing.
Yeah.
So after the Christmas, it's like more intense, but the highest rainfalls is in 30 and 31st of December. Bogor, my city, especially the area where I live, it's really close to the river, one of the biggest river in West Java called Ciliwung River. And since Bogor is like really close to the upstream area, Puncak area, that's where the upstream level. That night, I remember I saw the river is the water level is increasing. So I just said it to my friend like, why the level is rising? We don't have the heavy rainfall in the city, but maybe in the upstream. And just only like around 4 o'clock in the morning, right after where everybody's still asleep and heavy party and other celebration, we got the news about the floods. But the first we heard it's in Depok. So Bogor is around, so like, how to say, Bogor is surrounded with other cities, Bogor, Depok, and then Bekasi, and then Jakarta. We heard the first one is in Depok, affected by the flood. But we totally have no idea that the water level will be higher in Jakarta, because since like Bogor, Jakarta is like lower down, yeah. So when I check on the Google Map with the keyword banjir or flood, that's the picture we get. And even in Bekasi is different city with Jakarta. They also affected by the water level. A friend of mine, when they woke up, it's a couple, they're a couple. When the wife woke up, going down to they live upstairs. So when they're going down for checking something in the morning, they're quite surprised because the water level is like really high. Another friend of mine, his car is like covered with the with the water, and in other area it's like until 2 meters, and the highest level is 6 meters for the flood. Oh, I know. I know, it's like really shocking. It's like 6 meters. And I mean, in my city, since we are in the highest, how to say, highest position, maybe the higher position, we don't affected by it. I mean, it's just like, no. I mean, but we see in Ciliwung River, it's like really high, and the water level in Depok is like lower compared to Jakarta, but Jakarta is the worst. We still don't know what's really happened, because usually when the flood happened, the central Jakarta area, like Bundaran HI or Jalan Jenderal Sudirman, will be covered with the water, but it's not. Instead, in the other parts,
so much bigger, like,
yes,
and deeper this time.
Yes. So the presidential palace is safe. Usually, it's also covered with the water, but that time it's really bad. So most of the attention going to Jakarta, Bekasi, and Depok. But when Depok is recovered, most of the media attention is in Jakarta and Bekasi. However, in Bogor district, still in my city, but it's in district area, there's this disaster occur, and we don't receive the information right away because of the signal. So the people that affected by actually it's a flood, it's a landslide, and it's a flash flood. And the area that affected by the disaster, 2 districts, in Bogor district and Lebak district. In Lebak district, 3 sub-districts affected, and in Bogor district, 6 sub-districts affected by the flash flood, the floods, and the landslides. It's really worse because the spots, I will say the hot spots where the disaster happens, it's 1,000, not 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 1,000.
1,000 what people affected?
1,000 hotspots of
okay.
landslide, the flash flood, and the floods.
Right.
Yeah. Because at first we heard like Sukajaya sub-district affected by the flash floods. So we thought like, oh yeah, we know the area. So we tried to imagine how big the disaster occur. But then the call like keep coming up because we also work with BNPB, the Indonesian Disaster Management office.
Okay.
Yeah, the BNPB keep contact us like we cannot going through the area, so the road is like gone. The houses are like it's a chaotic situation. So I think 2 days after it happened, BNPB asked us to use a helicopter to cover the story. The first attempt to cover the area, it's failed because of the weather. And we see how people cannot going through, including motorcycle with the trail motorcycle, because there are no roads to get past. It's like really, how to say, they have a metaphor for that situation when the disaster happened. It's like when Thanos snap a finger and then like the landslide happened, like all at once. Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up to past. I just want to quickly ask how, like, when these disasters happen, so the flooding or the extra large forest fires and these landslides, are people using the word climate change? Are the people drawing the links together, or is the media kind of reporting on it as climate change is making them more frequent or more higher in magnitude?
Honestly, when in local media, they cover every single situation. For example, they cover about the floods only, the flash floods only, the rainfall only, but the link to climate change is less.
Okay. What about with like your friends, or like what are the people? Are the people making connections even if the media aren't being explicit?
Well, maybe I'm not represent the whole Indonesian, but like my surrounding, my bubble. They say, well, something is changed, not the climate change, but it's changed. There's something big, especially about the heavy rainfall, and how to say it, Sophia? Not the tornado, but the wind, the
cyclone, like the
the
hurricane. Yeah,
a smaller hurricane. It's also occurred. So yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of things like that we haven't covered yet, which is the fact that Indonesia is moving its capital to Kalimantan, that we could talk about. We could talk about plastic, because there's a lot of headlines sometimes about the amount of plastic in Indonesia, and I know you've been talking about it with your friends, and also this idea that we are nomads. Some of us move slowly or don't move as much anymore, but Bali is a very popular nomad destination, but with lots of visitors possibly come other problems. And we could talk about how we could be better visitors to your country. But rather than dictate that, I thought we could flip to, I'm going to switch to gallery mode now, and just wonder, did anyone have any questions? Did anyone want to chime in? And did anyone want to go in any of those particular directions? Ellie?
Just a technical question, actually. What's the difference between flood and flash flood? I'm not sure.
The flash flood is actually the mix between the landslide and the flood. So the flood is only the water level increasing, but the flash flood is when the landslide, including the water, come all the way up, happen at once.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question. Maybe I missed something. You said that they went back to an area where they should have replanted trees, but they weren't replanted. Did I understand that correctly? Did you say this, or did I make that up?
No, Jakarta promised to restore the peatlands after 2015 wildfires, yeah?
Yes. So not the restore is not only about the plantation, but okay. In 2015, there is a peatland fires where people try to clear the land, and since the haze is really massive, Jokowi, our president, instructed some of his minister to restore the peatland. So it's not only planting, but it's also re-wetting the peatland because the peatland is really dry. When it's dry and it's burned, it will be like coal. You know, when you have a barbecue, you get the charcoal, and that's how peatland, when it's dry, it's like a young coal.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be wet. So part of the restoration, it has to be re-wetting, and also replanting with other plants that is how to say, the roots is like, Sophia, I forget to
yeah, to prevent soil erosion.
Yes.
But and avoiding monoplantations, which is the kind of palm oil plantation.
Yeah.
So is your question, Sam, why wasn't it restored?
Sorry, I thought she was alluding to some corruption or something was going on, that the program should have happened and then they turned up and nothing had been done or something. But I think.
Well, I could answer that, but possibly yes. I have to say possibly yes. Because other method for the restoration besides re-wetting the peatlands, they also have to have this installation being built. So whenever there's a fire, they could use the installation to not to drain, how to say, to get the water instantly. And the installation did not work properly. I will give an example. For example, from 10 installations that must be built, only 3 of them are working properly. That's only the comparison, not the reality. But since the peatland area covers in Kalimantan is really wide, yeah, the installation being a debate now, like what happened with the program. It's being questioned, yes.
Thank you. Alison.
And Jung, I just want to thank you because I actually was living in Malaysia in 2015 and I experienced some of the haze and things. So this is actually the most thorough description that I've actually heard because there was so much spin in the news, and it was a lot of news from Singapore that was, not clear on what, and I never made the connection to climate change as well, because I know in 2015 it was like the fires got out of control. So that really, I appreciate your taking the time to explain that.
Yeah, I mean, That's also how to say our concern as well. How the disaster being covered by the media. Um, I have to say we get the blame. We get the blame by the media about what happened with the forest fire and the government being slow and everything. But however, what happened in 2019 fire, uh, I, I will not say all, but there is, or maybe there are, Malaysian company or investor from Singapore also um, invested in the palm oil company. So instead of pinpointing on who get the blame, uh, we the Indonesian must accept the truth about the haze first, because many people got evacuated really hard, slow, fast, but yeah, especially about the flight. Yeah, not all the flight can um, get the schedule on time because of the haze. Yeah.
So it's very disruptive, not only to individuals that need to be moved, but to the economy as well. With
the economy, yes.
Flights and quality index.
Yes.
What was it like for you in 2015, Alison?
So it started out sort of just looking like fog in the distance, and then we had the AQI, the air quality index, sort of counters on the television that would sort of tell you what range you were in, and then we also had apps that you could look at. But then sort of stores started selling out of air purifiers, and then we needed masks, and they started selling out of masks, and nobody could get masks. So walking outside, even with contacts, my eyes would be itchy, and so I ended up just switching to glasses. But it definitely affects, like, you don't want to jog outside, you don't want to do these things, anything outside really, and it's such a beautiful climate. It's really warm and nice all year round, so you can enjoy those activities outside year round typically, but that really was a big factor.
Just want to check, Becky or Lewis, did anything come up that you needed clarifying or wanted to ask? Nothing at the moment. Okay. Lewis is gone. Okay. All right. Where do we want to go? We've got 20 minutes. Oh, sorry, Ellie. Did you make a? No. We've got 20 minutes. Do we want to look at plastic? Do we want to look at the capital moving? You know, that's a very real reaction to Jakarta, which is not just climate change, also is but it's the reclamation and the sinking of Jakarta. So it's a couple of things going on there, or around the sort of tourism effect of influx of tourists on Indonesia. Ajeng, do you have a preference, or is anyone else particularly curious? Let's be led by you guys.
For me, the capital moving is pretty interesting. I don't know what other people think though.
Same for me as well. That is moving from.
Okay. Ajeng, why is the capital moving? What the hell is going on? And Kalimantan, and also what does it mean for Kalimantan? Because, you know, you have the last, well, not last, but some of the last bits of rainforest there. What does the capital mean? And we'll take yours as an individual perspective. You do not represent all of Indonesia, and we understand that.
Okay, the capital moving is quite shocking, first of all, because we have a guess it might be Kalimantan, because Mr. President give us a hint, including in the media, where how to say the criteria for the capital, and he mentioned less earthquake. So that's one of the criteria out of the rest. Our partner, Forpos, who've been working for the orangutans project, they've been worried about that as well, because the conservation area is really close to where the area for the capital. So it might be included in the capital, and if it does, they have to move. The thing is, they only have less choice for the orangutan to be released. That's also happened with the I forget the name. Orangutan, the one of the orangutan project in Kalimantan. Why suddenly I forget the name? So yeah,
Palangkaraya?
the one in Palangkaraya, yes. Jakarta, yes, it's too crowded. Maybe because since the first development of Jakarta, everything must be centralized in Jakarta. So the development, the infrastructure, the economy, always central in Jakarta. So with what happened now, Jakarta is thinking, yes, Jakarta heavy population, definitely. Even the traffic is like crazy. I would rather not to go to Jakarta if not only for meeting. I mean, if there is a meeting only, I will go to Jakarta, but the rest I will stay in Bogor instead, or other city like Bandung, or not Jakarta, please. With the city moving, definitely the first the first situation is will the next capital will be as crowded as Jakarta or not? What happened with Jakarta now? Jakarta is too destroyed. Honestly, in my humble point of view, Jakarta is hopeless. We can find anything in Jakarta, any kind of life. Yes, in Jakarta, all the nightlife, all the food, everything, all the people, every local foreigner, you could find it in Jakarta compared to other city like Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, Bekasi. It's like everything is centralized in Jakarta. Literally, you can find anything in Jakarta. But what happened next with Jakarta? Even the infrastructure is like there are no space for more apartments, and they still build apartments in Jakarta. What will happen in the capital? That's worry us. And right now, what we see, the locals see is Jokowi have his own plan for the capital. He promised that the capital will only for the governmental works, not like Jakarta right now.
Not like the cultural capital, but
Not
like the administrative capital.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But when people comparing like between like New Zealand, Auckland is the how to say the big city, but the capital is in other city. Yeah. He didn't explain it briefly how the management will be. So that's worry us how big Kalimantan will be exploited.
And where they're planning to make the new capital in Kalimantan, I'm imagining that it's going to impact the local communities there, right? And there's a question over land rights, and do people have to be relocated? Are they being given consent? Do you know much about that kind of stuff, or does anyone else have any questions as well?
Those are questions that we're discussing right now, because in Kalimantan the Dayak community is like almost 80% of it, and honestly, the best infrastructure that I see in Kalimantan is in Central Kalimantan. Outside Central Kalimantan is like most of it you can still see the forest. So just imagine if they build more, because in Central Kalimantan, before we have Jakarta as capital city, Soekarno, our first president, have this dream that the capital will be in Palangkaraya. Central Kalimantan. That's why the infrastructure in Kalimantan is different than other province, I will say. So at first we guessed it will be in Palangkaraya because the infrastructure is ready and settled, but then it's not. So yeah, we have this.
Have they decided exactly where it is going to be yet? Then
still rumors, not finalized, but we are guessing. We have feelings and these mixed feelings. Where will it be? Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions around that?
Can I ask, because you mentioned that, out of curiosity, where are the rumors coming from? Because you mentioned that there are rumors, that there's a feeling, that where are these stemming from, do you think?
Okay. What I said with we is the networks. Since I'm working in NGO, we work Rekam Nusantara Foundation. We work closely with other NGO like Greenpeace, WWF, WALHI, and other environmental NGOs. We've been talking about it a lot. Especially currently, the Forest Ministry is cut the work collaboration with WWF after 1980 something. Yeah, after long time. So that statement from Forest Ministry also scare us. What will happen with the new capital? How will our president treat Kalimantan, especially Kalimantan with the only forest, like virgin forest left in Indonesia. Papua now is being exploited as well, but I don't think Jokowi want to move the capital to Papua. So yeah, we've been discussing a lot. We've been discussing a lot with the communities as well, and we're also working closely with the indigenous peoples alliances, archipelago in Indonesia. They also worried about how the indigenous peoples in Kalimantan will be, because that's where they they live, especially the Dayak community. Yeah. So hopefully, finger crossed.
Thank you. I just kind of curious, like you said, it was shocking, the capital moving. Is like, again, or is it shocking? And are people, I'm going to assume maybe it's not because of what you said earlier, but are people using like climate change? Are they talking about it within that, or is it just this is the, you know, Jakarta's we've kind of ruined Jakarta, we just need to move it? Like, it's such a huge decision to move the capital. It's such a lot of investment. Like, what do the people feel like? How are the people reacting?
Like the way I react right now, maybe. Okay. Okay. Because at first, when he announced that the capital might move to other places, definitely at first, like talking in our circle, our bubble, definitely not in Java. Even though Yogyakarta have the history of capital city, definitely not in Java. It's too crowded in Java, in terms of population and in terms of working opportunities. Everything is like centralized in Jakarta. Then we discussed, what about Sulawesi? And then Sulawesi, after the massive earthquake happened in Palu, we also, there's no way, because Mr. President also mentioned that he will choose the area with less earthquakes with less disaster, natural disaster or other disaster. So we're still guessing like, will it be Papua? But Papua is the hardest one to be built because of the infrastructure. Papua is the last area in terms of infrastructure. Yeah, even though they have more access now. Then we are guessing in Sumatra and Kalimantan.
Okay.
And still, the only option
you're trying to kind of work out what the
yes. We're discussing as well.
Does anyone? I know we've only got a few minutes left. Does anyone want to pick up on anything or ask any more questions? Otherwise, I was going to follow up with just a few more closing questions for Ajeng, and then we can just share a little something at the end. Okay, fine. Okay, Ajeng, are you worried about climate change?
Definitely, I do. Especially, Sophia, Bogor is situated in between mountains where the rainfall is like really heavy. Compared to my childhood, it's even heavier. In the upstream area, the land clearing. Mm-hmm. And the land change. The land use change. The land changes. What's the word?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. It's facing massive destruction. We lost our forest, especially for that. And even though we're not using narratives, climate change as big as international media, I would say, but we see how it changed. For example, during the rainy season, back in my childhood, we could see the Ciliwung River, like with heavy rain in the upstream. It's still, it won't go higher level really fast compared to now. So if there's a heavy rainfall in the upstream, we could tell from the Ciliwung River. Back in my childhood, we don't see that. And the level is like high really quickly, and then lower down really quicker. Sorry if it's confused you.
Like the rate that the water level goes up, and then it's faster.
Yes. We could measure in Ciliwung River. Especially, we could guess what will happen in Jakarta after, because the water level is like going up and down really quick.
So I'm gonna push you here, Ajeng, and tell me, like, I don't know, is it an Indonesian cultural thing to talk about feelings? But you say that it worries you. Like, and you've told me what you've noticed changing over your lifetime, but like, what is behind that? What are you? I'm just going to ask you a bit more about your feelings, because I think I'm just trying to encourage, see how people react to that question. Are you the only one worried, and how do you express that worry? Do you just do you work harder, maybe, in your field?
Well, my mom worried too. But talking about our feelings about climate change, might be not as popular as talking about, hey, do you realize that Ciliwung River now is like something, or do you guys realize that in the upstream level we lost the areas, so from forest being villas, like resorts and villas and everything, and how the mass tourism affected that, especially when the mass tourism occur in Puncak area. They have higher demand, for example, for the supermarket, the hotel, the resort, the villas, the parking space. Even I have to say, in my city, the cars is like, wow, really packed. The jam is like really packed, especially in the weekend. And talking about weekend, people from Jakarta will travel to Bogor every Saturday, Sunday, going to Puncak area, and then that's where the traffic happen. But from Monday to Friday, traffic will change from Bogor to Jakarta. So it's like will be the opposite way. So with that being said, it's crazy, Sophia. And what worries me is people is too ignorant, I have to say. The river, how to say, do you realize, Sophia, close to my house, the Ciliwung River, where people occupied the house next to the river itself, the riverside? Yeah, that's what happened in most of the river in Indonesia, I would say. So there's no more, how to say, absorbing area for the water. That's the first one. The second one, my bubble prefer to discuss what can we do for people not throw the, how to say, their rubbish to the river. How to make them aware, how to tell them, or how can we use less straw, or how can we change the bottled water, and like what the debris might affect the ocean, or that kind of narrative that we discuss. But when we say climate change, maybe for them it's too big. Like you have to break down each and every single part. But if we see the correlation, it's really big. I have to say it's really huge. It's really huge, especially in Indonesia.
Can you share with us something that gives you hope, or a project that you've seen that is doing something really interesting? And if you want to, promote one of Infosys' great projects, please do.
Okay. Well, I will not say it's a great project, but it's one of the efforts to make the environment suck less, maybe. We've been working on naturalization and restoration in the upstream, because when we cover in Puncak area, the forest itself, and comparing from 2016, it's getting less and less and less and less. So we, we work closely with the Mr. Bupati, how to say that, Sophia?
Like the mayor?
The mayor, yeah. We work with the mayor and the governor to, not educate, but to give a sample for people who live next to the riverside, where their houses is like really, really in the riverside, to sort their rubbish for the organic and the unorganics. And we use this infiltration hole, I hope I say it right, for the organics, and the unorganics is like being places in one area to be taken daily, like twice daily. So with the debris in the river stream itself, it's also being cleaned up. But yeah, it's a huge works to do, but it shows a progress. And the mayor and the governor, they have they promise, they have a commitment for that. We'll see. Hopefully, it's not something for the public purpose, for the public stand, hopefully. And but not only in Ciliwung but also in Citarum River. It's in Bandung, West Java.
Brilliant, thank you. So that we've just hit the hour. We've lost Becky, but I just wanted to hear from Sam, Alison, and Lewis, like any concluding comments, and then we'll wrap up and say goodbye to Ajeng. I don't know if Sam. thoughts, reflections?
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting and insightful. I've got a couple of Indonesian friends here in Munich that I'll be meeting up with later, actually. So I've got a lot of information to discuss with them, and especially about the capital moving. I was not aware of that. There's a lot going on that I was not aware of. So thanks very much.
Alison?
Yeah, I really appreciate your time, Ajeng, and explaining all of these things in more detail, because I feel like, especially living in Malaysia in 2015, I was shocked that none of these things were on the international media circuit. And, you know, especially, so I'm an American, especially in the American news media, nobody knew anything about any of these issues. And I was absolutely shocked because of how influential, you know, Indonesia is to the world, honestly, like so important. And also living in Southeast Asia made me realize how beautiful that part of the world is, and it is definitely worth protecting and preserving.
Lewis, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I would just to echo all the thank yous so much for taking your time. And yeah, like we were just saying, like Indonesia is so huge and gets so little attention, and it's even though I know that, it's really good to be reminded, like, yeah, thank you for helping us have it at the forefront and keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Ajeng, so much. You are our first guinea pig on this, and I've been working with Ajeng for like 3 or 4 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I think what we might do, Ajeng, is share some of the Infis films in the chat so they can kind of see some of the stories that you and your team have been working on, so we can keep, as Lewis says, Indonesia at the forefront of some of our conversations. That's it. That's a wrap. We're meeting in 2 weeks' time for a more informal chat. And actually, Sam, it would be great then to get an update on your climate app if you're able to join us next time, because I think there seems like there's been a lot of activity there. That's it. Goodbye. Ajeng, do you want to stay on the line?
Wow. Actually, thank you as well, everybody, for having me, because I was so nervous when Sophia asked me to join this conversation. But if any of you want to have more discussion about Indonesia, especially about what happened with the disaster, because right now we're still battling with the natural disaster, especially during the rainfall season, feel free anytime. So yeah, please stay in touch.
Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama.
Sampai jumpa. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.